Hello, lovers of inspiring life stories and heart-touching melodies. Today, we will embark on a special journey together, where musical notes blend with the ups and downs of life. It is the story of Julio Iglesias, the Spanish music legend who has conquered millions of hearts around the world, with his sweet voice and irresistible romantic style. At 81 years old, Julio is not only a musical icon but also a mysterious person, with untold stories about love, family, and deep sorrow. Join me in this incredible journey, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on other great stories. Imagine a brightly lit stage, where a man with a deep, enchanting voice steps out, making the whole world fall silent to listen. That was Julio Iglesias in the 1,970 seconds and 1,980 seconds, when he was at the height of his career, a shining star on the international music scene, with hits like "To All the Girls I've Loved Before" and "Hey." Julio was not just a singer, but a cultural phenomenon, bringing Latin music to a global audience. His voice, like a glass of rich red wine, melted the hearts of millions, from the concert halls of Madrid to the big stages of Las Vegas. But behind the bright light, like a long shadow cast by the stage lights, were sorrows and secrets that Julio kept hidden for decades. At 81, as the spotlight dims, those sorrows seem to deepen, making us wonder, what really happened to the man once admired by the world? What drove Julio Iglesias, an icon of romance, to confront his own dark side? Let me delve into this story to discover the real man behind the legend. Julio Iglesias was born on the 23rd of September 1943 in Madrid, Spain, into a middle-class family full of expectations but also hardships. His father, Julio Iglesias Sr., was a famous gynecologist, a strict but devoted family man. His mother, Maria del Rosario, was a gentle housewife who always tried to bring warmth to the house. Although the Iglesias family did not live in poverty like many others in post-Civil War Spain, their lives were still affected by the country's political and social upheavals. Spain in the 1,940 seconds and 1,950 seconds was a turbulent place, with the wounds of the Spanish Civil War still raw, and the Iglesias family faced the pressures of a society struggling to rebuild. Julio's childhood was not always filled with joy. Despite growing up in a well-off family, he often felt the pressure of his father's high expectations. As the eldest son, Julio was expected to pursue a prestigious career, perhaps as a lawyer or doctor, like his father. However, Julio showed an artistic side from an early age, preferring music and sports to the dry lessons of school. He would often sneak out of class to play soccer with his friends, or sing Spanish folk songs he had heard from his mother. These moments, while joyful, also left him feeling out of place, as if he did not really belong to the world his parents had carved out for him. A major event changed Julio's childhood. His mother, Maria, was often ill due to health complications after the war, and this caused the family to experience stressful times. Julio, even as a child, witnessed his mother lying in a hospital bed, and he often felt helpless to do anything to help her. Her fragility left him with a deep fear of loss, an emotion he carried with him throughout his life. Although his mother eventually recovered, those years left a lasting impression on Julio, shaping him into a sensitive person who sought solace in music and personal relationships. To cope with the hardships, Julio learned to be independent early on. As a teenager, he began doing odd jobs to earn extra pocket money, from delivering newspapers, working in small shops, to working as a waiter in Madrid's cafes. These jobs not only provided him with extra income, but also taught him the value of hard work and patience. He often recounts that his days working in cafes helped him learn how to communicate with strangers, from ordinary workers to wealthy customers. These conversations nurtured in him a deep sense of empathy, a quality that he later brought to his music. Although Julio's childhood was not a tragic one, the hardships and pressures he experienced built a resilient person, ready to face greater challenges in the future. Julio Iglesias's career journey began not with a musical dream, but with an unexpected event that completely changed his life. Before becoming a singer, Julio was a talented goalkeeper, playing football for the youth team of Real Madrid, one of the most prestigious clubs in the world. At the age of 19, he had a dream of becoming a professional football player, with his youth and burning passion. However, fate had other plans. In 1963, Julio was in a serious car accident, causing him to injure his spine and almost lose the ability to walk. For more than a year lying in bed, Julio had to face physical and mental pain as his football dream seemed to disappear. During those dark days, a nurse at the hospital gave Julio a guitar to help him relax. It was at this fateful moment that he began to play the guitar and compose his first songs. The simple melodies he wrote in the hospital were not only a way for him to overcome his sadness, but also a way for him to discover a hidden talent. Julio began to sing, initially just to comfort himself, but gradually he realized that his voice had a special appeal. The nurse, along with the encouragement of his family, became his first mentors, encouraging him to pursue music even though he had never thought of becoming a singer. Julio's first big break came in 1968, when he entered the Eurovision contest with the song La vida sigue igual. Although he did not win, his performance attracted the attention of music producers in Spain. One of the most important people during this period was Rafael Trabuccelli, a famous music producer who saw potential in Julio's deep voice and romantic style. Rafael helped Julio sign a contract with Columbia Records and produced his debut album, marking a turning point in his career. However, the road was not easy at first. Julio faced doubts from his own family, who thought music was an unstable career. He also had to compete with a series of other young singers in a thriving music industry in Spain. The initial difficulties did not deter Julio. He possessed a special quality, perseverance, and the ability to connect emotionally with the audience. His voice, although not formally trained, had a rare sincerity, as if he was telling a story directly to each listener. He also has a flair for songwriting, often romantic ballads about love and loss, themes that touch people's hearts. It is this authenticity and passion that has kept Julio afloat in the music industry, gradually building his name from a young singer in Spain to an international star. As he turned 81, Julio Iglesias began to face the challenges that age brings. Although he has always maintained a handsome image, health problems have become an inevitable part of his life. After a car accident in 1963, Julio has had to live with spinal problems, and as he gets older, chronic pain becomes more frequent. He has shared that he has to undergo many physical therapy sessions to maintain his mobility, and sometimes the pain prevents him from performing with the same energy as before. Julio also has other age-related health issues, such as high blood pressure and fatigue from years of non-stop work. While there is no specific information about whether he contracted COVID or underwent major surgery, Julio has admitted that he has to be more careful with his health so that he can continue to live with his family and enjoy the years he has left. Julio's inner life at 81 is a complex picture of joy and sadness. He often takes time to reflect on his life, looking back at his greatest successes and his unspoken regrets. Julio has said that he feels grateful for what music has brought him, but there are moments when he wonders if he is truly living in the right place. His past relationships, especially his first marriage to Isabel Preisler and rumors of other relationships, have left him with unanswered questions. He also reflects on his role as a father, especially to his children Enrique, Julio Jr., and Chabeli, who grew up in the spotlight but also faced the pressures of their father's fame. The diaries Julio has kept in recent years are where he has poured out his deepest emotions, from the joy of his love for Miranda Reinsberger to the sadness of thinking about his deceased loved ones. The public's reaction to Julio at 81 has been a mixture of emotion, regret, and sometimes indifference. Loyal fans, especially the generation that grew up with his music, still hold Julio in deep respect and affection. They often share on social media memorable moments, listening to songs like Me Va, or Cuadro de Amor, songs that have become part of their memories. However, for the younger generation, Julio has become an unfamiliar name, as musical tastes have shifted to more modern genres like electronic pop and hip-hop. Yet, whenever Julio appears in an interview or at a rare event, he still receives enthusiastic applause, proving that his musical legacy lives on in the hearts of many. Julio Iglesias' legacy is a multicolored picture, including both material and spiritual achievements. On the material side, he left behind a huge musical legacy, with more than 80 albums and hundreds of songs, selling more than 300 million copies worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists of all time. His concerts, from Carnegie Hall in New York to the Royal Theatre in Madrid, have become legendary, attracting audiences from all walks of life. But Julio's spiritual legacy runs deeper. He brought Latin music to the world, broke down cultural and language barriers, and inspired many young artists, including his son, Enrique Iglesias, who has continued his father's musical path. Julio also left a message of perseverance, of overcoming adversity to pursue his passion, and of the power of love and family. His songs, with their emotional lyrics, will forever be treasured gems, reminding us of the beauty of life, whether in joy or in sorrow. Although Julio Iglesias is a beloved musical icon around the world, his career path has not always been a bed of roses. In the competitive music industry, Julio has faced many conflicts and challenges, both external and internal. One of the biggest conflicts was the pressure from producers and record labels, who constantly asked him to reinvent himself to meet the changing tastes of his audience. In the 1990 seconds, as modern pop music and new genres like techno began to dominate, some producers felt that Julio's romantic ballad style had become outdated. They wanted him to experiment with new sounds, but Julio was determined to stay true to himself. He believed that the sincerity of his voice and his love songs were what made him famous, and he did not want to lose that just to follow trends. Conflicts with colleagues and the media were also an inevitable part of Julio's career. As an international star, he was often scrutinized for his personal life, especially his romantic relationships. His first marriage to Isabel Preisler, from 1971 to 1979, attracted much public attention, and when they divorced, rumors of Julio's affairs were all over the newspapers. Some of his colleagues in the entertainment industry said that he was too focused on his romantic image, which they considered unsuitable for a mature artist. These criticisms, although not widely publicized, made Julio feel that they were unfair. He once shared that he never wanted to respond to negative comments, but they still left wounds in him that were difficult to heal. His silence in the face of these criticisms was not weakness, but rather his way of protecting his soul from the scandals of the entertainment industry. A major turning point in Julio's career was his decision to gradually reduce his performing activities in the 2000s. After decades of relentless work, world tours, and demanding schedules, Julio felt exhausted, both physically and mentally. He began to prioritize his family, especially his life with his second wife, Miranda Reinsberger, and their young children. The decision, while motivated by personal necessity, was met with mixed reactions from the public. Some fans lamented the loss of Julio on stage, while some critics felt he was losing his appeal. This withdrawal, while not a complete collapse, was a difficult period for Julio. He felt he was being quietly excluded from the music industry, where younger faces were constantly appearing and taking the spotlight. This sense of injustice became even more evident when Julio realized that his contributions were sometimes not recognized as he expected. He had hoped that his music would live on forever, but the rapid changes in taste made him feel like he was being pushed aside. However, Julio did not let these feelings define him. He chose to stay silent and focus on what really mattered: family, music, and simple joys. He once said that he did not want to argue with critics because he believed that time would prove the value of what he had done. His silence, while questionable to some, was a testament to the steadfastness and self-respect of an artist who had devoted his life to his art. After retiring from the big stages and international tours, Julio Iglesias chose a simpler life, where he could focus on his family and personal passions. He settled mainly between his home in Miami, Florida, and his villa in Marbella, Spain, where he lived with his wife Miranda Reinsberger and their young children. The days without the hectic schedule of the entertainment industry gave Julio the opportunity to enjoy moments that he had not had time to appreciate before. He often spent his mornings walking on the beach, listening to the waves and reflecting on his life. In the afternoons, he gathered with his family, playing with his children, or preparing traditional Spanish meals like paella or gazpacho with Miranda. These moments, though simple, became Julio's greatest source of happiness during this period. Outside of his family, Julio continued to nurture his love of music, albeit on a smaller scale. He no longer organized major tours, but occasionally recorded new songs or participated in special musical projects. He also began writing a memoir, recording stories about his career journey, the songs that made him famous, and the life lessons he learned over the years. These pages are not only a way for Julio to look back on his life, but also a gift he wants to give to his children, Enrique, Julio Jr., Chabeli, and Miranda's younger children, so that they can better understand their father. He also occasionally performs at private events or charity concerts, where he delivers classic ballads, leaving audiences moved when they hear his still emotional voice. Julio also devotes a lot of time to charity work, a side of him that he rarely talks about publicly. He supports organizations that help disadvantaged children and those affected by natural disasters, especially in Spain and Latin America. He has said that bringing joy through music is his greatest passion, but helping those in need brings him a deeper sense of meaning. These quiet contributions show a different side of Julio Iglesias, no longer the dazzling stage star, but a down-to-earth person with an open heart and compassion. He also meets with longtime fans regularly, listening to their stories and sharing memories of his peak days. These encounters, however small, help Julio feel that he is still loved, even when the spotlight is no longer shining. Despite many invitations to return to the stage or participate in reality television shows, Julio chose not to return on a large scale as before. He occasionally appeared in interviews or special events, but he no longer wanted to return to the hustle and bustle of the entertainment industry. He once said that he wanted to preserve his image in the hearts of the audience as a beautiful memory, instead of trying to cling to the halo with incomplete performances. This decision, although difficult, helped Julio find peace of mind. He learned that true happiness does not lie in the recognition of the crowd, but in simple moments with family, in living true to his heart. Julio also began to focus on inspiring the younger generation, sharing lessons about perseverance and passion through talks or posts on social networks. These activities, although not famous, helped Julio feel that he was still contributing to society in his own way. Life after the spotlight was also the time when Julio changed his perspective on happiness and success. He realized that the true value of life was not in the number of albums sold or the applause, but in lasting relationships, in the love of Miranda and her children, and in peace of mind. He often held family parties at his villa in Marbella, where he, Miranda, and the children gathered together, laughed, and shared stories about life. These moments helped Julio feel that his life, although no longer in the spotlight, was still meaningful and complete. He also began to appreciate the little things, like the evenings sitting on the porch, listening to the guitar, and reminiscing about the days gone by, or talking to his children about their dreams and hopes. Julio Iglesias's peak period spanned from the 1,970 seconds to the 1,990 seconds, when he became one of the most popular artists in the world, not only in Spain, but also globally. His most notable achievement was his ability to bring Latin music to the world, breaking down language and cultural barriers. With over 80 albums and over 300 million records sold, Julio became one of the best-selling artists of all time, a record that few can match. Hits such as "To All the Girls I've Loved Before," a duet with Willie Nelson, "Begin the Begin," and "Hey" not only dominated the charts in Europe and Latin America, but also conquered audiences in the United States, Asia, and even the Middle East. His concerts at prestigious venues such as Carnegie Hall, Madison Square Garden, and the Royal Theatre in Madrid are always sold out, attracting audiences from all walks of life, from ordinary music lovers to celebrities. What sets Julio Iglesias apart is his deep, soulful voice and his intimate, romantic performance style. His voice, despite not being classically trained, has a rare sincerity, as if he is telling a love story directly to each audience member. He has the ability to turn simple songs into emotional works, from gentle ballads to vibrant Latin songs. His style, with elegant suits and charming smiles, has created the image of a romantic man, a symbol of romance that the whole world is fascinated by. Julio also stood out for his musical versatility, singing in a variety of languages, from Spanish, English, French, Italian, to Portuguese, something few artists of his time could do. Julio's influence went beyond music. He helped shape popular culture, bringing Latin music to a global audience at a time when the genre was still limited to Spanish-speaking communities. He paved the way for many Latin artists who came after him, including his son, Enrique Iglesias, who became an international pop star. Julio also inspired millions of fans with his story of overcoming adversity, from a young man who was almost unable to walk after an accident to a global star. He once said that music for him was not just a career, but a way to connect people, to bring joy and ease the sadness of life. Julio also made his mark through collaborations with the world's top artists, from Frank Sinatra to Diana Ross to Stevie Wonder. These duets not only raised his profile, but also proved that his music could transcend cultural barriers. He was also one of the first artists to bring Spanish music to the American market, paving the way for the later wave of Latin pop. Julio's career is not only a story of personal success, but also a story of the power of music to unite the world, to bring hope and inspiration to those who listen to him. Looking back at the life of Julio Iglesias, we see a man who is not only a musical legend, but also a sensitive soul, a storyteller who used his voice to touch the hearts of millions. From the difficult days of his childhood in Madrid, when he faced family pressure and fear of loss, to his peak years on the global stage, Julio lived an emotional, challenging, but also meaningful life. Behind the halo of a star, there was a man with deep sadness, questions about love and family, and a desire to live true to his heart. Julio Iglesias is not just a singer, but a symbol of perseverance,